Over the many years of his career, 60-year-old Johnny Depp has always given his all to the movie characters that he has brought to life on the big screen, from the many memorably eccentric ones created by famed director Tim Burton to slightly more nuanced and normal characters in a couple of independent films, which have slowly become cult classics. Johnny Depp's talent as an actor has been praised and acknowledged many times over the course of his career, with him being the recipient of various accolades, including a Golden Globe Award for Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, and a Screen Actors Guild Award for Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl. He has also been nominated for 3 Academy Awards and 2 British Academy Film Awards. Let's count down the top 15 best Johnny Depp movie roles. Based on a true story, the movie followed Edward's struggle as he tried to make his mark in the film industry and kept miserably failing to do so. His struggle would lead him to a lot of opportunities, like when he met his idol and later friend Bela Lugosi, played by Martin Landau, and also a lot of heartache, like when he lost his girlfriend Dolores Fuller because of his lifestyle and the failure of his films. His determination to make something of himself is something to be admired. Depp has said that when Burton approached him about the film, he was committed to it within 10 minutes of hearing about the project. A lot of care went into his portrayal of Ed Wood, and that is obvious to anyone who watches the film. This time he portrays John Dillinger, a notorious bank robber who was declared public enemy number 1 by the FBI. Depp has said there was a Robin Hood edge to John Dillinger. Depp felt a connection to the character and put a lot of care into bringing him to life, doing plenty of research down to how the man used to talk. Depp stars alongside Christian Bale, who portrayed Melvin Purvis, the man who would eventually take Dillinger out. Viewers follow Dillinger as he evades the authorities to the best of his abilities before eventually dying after most of his team got taken out. The film is a tragic story about love, death, and a man desperate to live for himself. Based on the book of the same name by Peter Hedges, What's Eating Gilbert Grape tells the story of a young man who is doing his best to provide for his family and struggling with the task. Starring alongside Depp in this touching story is Leonardo DiCaprio, who plays Gilbert's mentally disabled younger brother who has a habit of climbing things. We follow Johnny Depp's character as he struggles through the events of the movie, occasionally catching a break from his extremely demanding life before very quickly coming to regret his choices when the consequences of having a little bit of freedom catch up with him. It's a heartbreaking tale with a happy ending. Depp and DiCaprio perfectly capture the essence of their characters as well as the dynamic between the two brothers. Depp expertly brings to life the care and protectiveness that Gilbert has for his younger brother and the rest of his family. A movie adaptation directed by Tim Burton and based on the legend of Sleepy Hollow. In this gothic horror, Johnny Depp brings Ichabod Crane to life, a police constable in 1799 who is tasked with solving a series of brutal murders in Sleepy Hollow and soon learns that they are a result of the Headless Horseman, an undead ghost of a Hessian mercenary who fought in the American Revolutionary War and rides a black horse while searching for his missing head. Ichabod is another one of Depp's quirkier characters and is obsessed with using modern science in his police investigations, something which is majorly criticized by others. Both Depp and Christina Ricci, who plays Ichabod's love interest Katrina Van Tassel, do an excellent job of portraying their characters, and it is a particularly enjoyable film for those with a darker sense of humor. Johnny Depp stars alongside Al Pacino in this gangster crime drama movie that is loosely based on the life of Joseph D. Pistone, a young FBI agent who went undercover as a jewel thief and took on the persona of Donnie Brasco as he tried to make his way into the Bonanno crime family. Audiences watch as Pistone forms a strong bond with an enforcer in the crime family, Lefty Ruggiero, played by Al Pacino, and starts to struggle with home life as his undercover persona begins to bleed into his personal life, resulting in an altercation with his wife. Depp expertly portrays the struggles that undercover agents have to deal with and the consequences that follow them even after they've completed their assignments. Many critics agreed that this was one of both Depp and Pacino's best performances. The characters they played were nuanced and highly believable. Finding Neverland tells the story of James Matthew Barrie and the bond he formed with the family that would eventually inspire him to write Peter Pan. Starring alongside Depp was Kate Winslet, who played the widowed Sylvia Llewellyn Davies, who was the mother to 4 young boys: George, Jack, Peter, and Michael. It's a very sweet, tender, and heartwarming film, and Depp's ability to capture the care James Matthew Barrie had for the Llewellyn Davis family is phenomenal. The film depicts the adventures he had with the small family that he would eventually use in his story about the boy who never wanted to grow up, and the chemistry that Depp had with Freddie Highmore, who played Peter Llewellyn Davies, the boy who Peter Pan was named after, was incredible. Once again, Burton was adapting a beloved book into a movie, which would star Johnny Depp alongside Mia Wasikowska, who played Alice, Helena Bonham Carter, who played the Red Queen, and a number of other stellar actors. Depp was given the honoring of portraying one of the story's more eccentric characters, the Mad Hatter, who would become the most eccentric character Depp has ever portrayed in a film. With an extreme outfit, a weird-looking hat, and the occasional dark and foreboding monologue that terrifies the other characters around him and seems to change the Hatter's personality for a moment, it's difficult not to enjoy Depp's portrayal of the character. This slasher film directed by Tim Burton shows off Johnny Depp's amazing musical talents. Another one of his more eccentric characters, Depp plays a barber in London who uses his business as a front for his long string of murders and enlists the help of Mrs. Nellie Lovett, played by Helena Bonham Carter, who owns the bakery under his barber shop and gets rid of his victims' bodies by baking them into her meat pies. It's a tragic tale about a man who is bent on getting revenge on the villain of the film, Judge Turpin, played by Alan Rickman, for the death of his wife, and has plenty of blood for viewers who prefer gore to the musical talents of the actors. Alan Rickman gives a stellar performance as Judge Turpin, and his character perfectly complements the eccentricities of Depp's Sweeney Todd and Carter's Mrs. Lovett.
Thank you for watching my killer video this far. I hope you have been enjoying what you have been watching so far. For more of my videos, remember to click that subscribe button to be notified of my videos. Let's get on with the other half of this video.
A crime drama directed by Scott Cooper and based on the book Black Mass, the true story of an unholy alliance between the FBI and the Irish mob. The story centers around James Whitey Bulger, who is played by Depp, the leader of the Winter Hill Gang, who is challenged by a rival gang, and his friend John Connolly, who is played by Joel Edgerton, who brings Whitey on as an informant and is blinded by his childhood friendship with the man. Depp gives a great performance as Whitey and expertly shows how he manipulated situations to work in his favor up until his eventual arrest in 2011. Rango is an animated comedy about a chameleon with a love for theater who finds himself in Dirt, a small town experiencing a water crisis and is in need of a new sheriff. He accidentally becomes the sheriff of the town and gets sent on a mission to investigate the town's water shortage. After getting run out of town by Rattlesnake Jake, who was called in by Dirt's mayor, Rango discovers the truth behind the drought, which had been caused by the mayor so that he could buy up all the land surrounding the town of Dirt. Rango is just as entertainingly eccentric as many of Depp's other characters, and the mannerisms of the actor are brought to life solely through his voice. In this heartwarming fantasy romance story, Johnny Depp takes on the movie role of the titular character Edward Scissorhands, a mostly silent, unfinished, ageless, artificial, strange creation that gets taken into the home of the Boggs family and falls in love with the daughter, Kim. This modern fairy tale is one of Depp's quirkier roles and gives his character a sad ending that is synonymous with the not quite happy endings of the fairy tales of old. Despite his character's limited dialogue, Depp is able to communicate exactly what his character is feeling to the audience solely through his facial expressions. By far one of the most iconic characters Johnny Depp has ever portrayed in his many years of acting. Starring alongside Orlando Bloom, who plays the blacksmith's apprentice later turned pirate and captain of the Flying Dutchman, Will Turner, and Keira Knightley, who plays the governor's daughter turned pirate king, Elizabeth Swann, Depp plays the beloved scallywag with a love for rum, his hat and his ship, the Black Pearl. The movie franchise owes its success to audiences' love for Sparrow and his many oddities. Fans were first introduced to the character in Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, in which we saw him and Will go on a journey to save Elizabeth from the cursed crew aboard the Black Pearl. Sparrow lies, cheats, manipulates and eventually scampers his way to victory, which rewards him with a meeting with the gallows, though he is quick to escape his fate with a bit of help. In Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest and Pirates of the Caribbean, At World's End, Sparrow, Turner and Swan take on Davy Jones, and while they are eventually successful, it comes at an unfortunate price for Elizabeth and Will, which their son tries to fix in Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. The stop-motion animation movie was directed by Tim Burton and featured Johnny Depp, who plays a mild-mannered Victor Van Dort, alongside Helena Bonham Carter, who plays Corpse Emily. Victor accidentally marries Emily while practicing his wedding vows after having messed up during the rehearsal dinner and is taken away to the land of the dead. After a series of events, Victor chooses to marry Emily for real, but, upon realizing that she is keeping Victor's original fiancée, Victoria, from true happiness, she stops him. It's a sweet musical that horror fans everywhere quickly fell in love with despite the light-heartedness of the film. Another film directed by Burton and based on the book of the same name written by Roald Dahl. This time, Depp plays the eccentric owner of the chocolate factory, Willy Wonka. After having closed off the public's access to the factory, Willy Wonka hosts a contest that will allow 5 lucky winners to have a tour of it, and through a process of elimination, will select one of these 5 to take over the factory from him. He does a fantastic job of managing to separate his portrayal of the character from Gene Wilder's 1971 version. In Dark Shadows, Johnny Depp plays the role of Barnabas Collins, a wealthy playboy in the 18th century, is turned into a vampire and buried alive by a heartbroken witch, Angelique Bouchard, played by Eva Green. Fast forward 2 centuries later, he is inadvertently freed, only to find his once grand estate in ruins and his dysfunctional descendants in need of his protection. Directed by Tim Burton, this comedy-drama horror film intertwines gothic elements with family dynamics, offering an amusing yet eerie tale of love, betrayal and redemption.